$5:30.
thing.
I'd like to call the meeting to order, please, because according to the iPad, that's the official time, 5:30.
You got to count down.
Those who are able and willing to stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Callison. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Urban. All those in favor of approving the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, mic up. And I didn't even give you a chance to talk about any of those additions. Did you want to say anything, or we're good?
No.
Okay, we're good. Good deal. Visitors. Any visitors?
No.
No? Just Kyle.
Welcome, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle. All right, moving on to number 5, the consent agenda. There are several, 5.1 all the way through 5.9. And there are several within 5.5 of the contracts and work agreements. Anyone want any of those pulled out individually? Anyone want any of the consent agenda items pulled out individually? All right, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, Mrs. Weiss. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Tauber. Any other discussion?
I just would like to point out the gifts to the school district from the Pipestone Area Softball and Baseball Association for some fencing, the Friends of the Library for their donations, and also to the area track boosters for their donation. And then we also have our band director, Steve Olson, is resigning. He's taken a position in another school district closer to his home, less travel, and I think he's done a really nice job here for the district and marching band and all of that. He's worked very hard, and so we really appreciate his time here with Pipestone Area Schools, and hate to see him go, but understand.
All right, thank you, Mr. Anderson. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to number 6, 6.1, administration, 611. Hi, Jackie.
Budget year today. I made quite a few budget transfers moving from object code to object code, and then I did take approximately 6,000 out of contingency.
Thank you.
That's about all. We're at 81%, last year we were at 77%.
Thank you.
Good.
Any questions for Jackie? Any questions? Thank you, Jackie. 6.1.2, Mr. Strasser, hello. Mic up.
Hi, everyone. Well, it comes down to, it's pretty simple. We have graduation in less than a week, and so we're trying to wrap up our seniors. We do that tomorrow, and then tie all the loose ends together. We have our senior recognition, graduation practice that comes later at the end of this week. So that's kind of the consuming piece right now. Otherwise, we're always looking to the summer and potential summer programming, things that we can offer like we normally do. So that's what's going on right now.
Graduation is Sunday, 2 o'clock.
Right, Sunday, 2 o'clock. Love to see you.
Please.
Love to see everybody there. I just think that'd be great to see everyone. So you're welcome to come. And who are my, Marcy and Jeff are up there, and then Lanny will work on you as well. So
Lanny from.
yeah, it's fun. So it's a good time. And you're welcome to come to senior recognition as well. That's in and of itself is a really cool time because of what the accomplishments we get to recognize for seniors, and the awards and the scholarships. All those are just phenomenal in our school district. So if you're interested and haven't seen that, I would recommend coming to that too. That's at 8:30 Friday morning.
I tweeted it out, Corey, but nice job on the whole Teacher Appreciation Week, and what were you, Captain? Eval, what were you, Captain?
I was Dr.
Dr.
Eval.
And all the other, that was cool. I mean, it
Yeah.
looked like it was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
With the
it was.
superhero theme. So that was fun. thank you for that.
Did good on TV too. 5 in the morning.
Oh, that was early. But, yeah, that turned out really well. And I think it's up on their website now, because some kids showed me today, so, if you get a chance to look at that. And they showed me because Bradley Willie was, showing off the robot, and they put my name on there.
Oh, I did, I saw that.
So-
That was something I did see, yeah.
So now we have a running joke. He calls me Mr. Willie, I call him Mr. Strasser, so. Yeah.
All right, thank you. And 6.1.3, Ms. Bartman is
Done.
great. And 6.1.4. Hello, Ms. Wellness. Are you
Hello,
mic'd up?
I am mic'd up.
Okay, good.
We wrapped up testing on May 11th. We just were able to get the access preliminary scores this morning, so that was promising to look at that. I just shared that out with our EL staff and principals. Looking forward to meeting with the EL staff and digging in deeper. We have narrowed down the instructional coach position candidates, and those interviews will take place on Thursday and Friday. Beyond that, we are working on creating a new revamped World's Best Workforce District Advisory Committee. I'm in the process of writing a column for the newspaper. It was sent out on Facebook. We got about 3 people interested there. I'm looking for, a broad section of our community, parents, not parents, business members, not business members, to really be a member of that committee. That committee would meet about quarterly throughout the school year, and they're just an advisory committee. They're not, making decisions. We would just help, they would help us, see is what we're talking about, what our needs are, what the community's needs are and wants are. So they would make recommendations to the school board regarding rigorous academic standards, student achievement goals, and measures consistent with the World's Best Workforce legislation. So it's just a nice time for a group of people within our community to really see what goes on with academics in our schools. So that's what I have been working on. I've also been filling the role of Miss Bartman for the past 2.5 weeks. We'll wrap that up this week while she's been out. And it's been an adventure and learning lots every day. Mr. Anderson gets a phone call. He did not today.
Making progress.
Yeah, but Tony got 4. So it's been good and good for me. But I'm excited just to get back to what I need to be getting back to too. So does anyone have any questions?
I want to say thanks for all your hard work on the high academic piece that we want. So you're working
Yeah,
on the
I'm working
testing,
hard on
you're
that.
working hard on that stuff. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
When will we have the test scores back? I mean,
The parents receive test scores mid-August, September. The district office receives them and then they get mailed out. Because right now, the scores are preliminary and I can't share them.
Okay.
Because technically they're embargoed. And so when that happens in later June, then we'll get to, as a district, look at them from the state where they'll have it with all the student groups and everything. And then after that, we can share it with the community at large. So it's kind of, I shared with the staff as soon as they had their results, these are preliminary. You may tell the students how they did, but you can't send home any results on paper because it's not final. So, any other questions?
Thank you to both of you.
I would say that we'll plan to have a work session with all of the ESSA, which is the Every Student Succeeds Act, now those requirements by the state. So not only is it test scores, but it's graduation rates, it's attendance rates, and our EL, English language learners data and such that they'll be looking at where we're at. And then, of course, the achievement gaps and how things are going here in Pipestone. So you, as a board, we'll present this all to you. You'll be able to take a look at that data and then kind of, like I said, I see that as a good way also if there's anything in goal setting that you want, that'll be a piece that we'll talk about. So hopefully we'll have it by the end of July when we have our July board meeting. If not, we'll probably have a work session in August and then finalize our goals at the August board meeting, so.
Thank you to both you admin for doing the hard work. Thank you. All right, 6.2, school board members. You want me to talk about the evaluation?
Sure.
Or you can.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
The self-evaluation, we'll send that out in June. That gets compiled and we talk about in July. The July board meeting is when you that's what we did and reviewed how things are going and if there's any goals that you have as a board, what you want to work on. And then also it's part of our goal setting, so we will be setting goals or beginning the process of setting goals in July, and all of that kind of works that way, so. And then there's also, the district goals are part of, I think, the board's self-evaluation. We kind of pull that in and say, what do we want to get accomplished this year, so that's where that's at.
And if
so.
you remember last year, I think it's going to be the same one as last year.
Pretty much, yeah. Yep.
And some of you had asked for the
Comment
space,
box.
the comment box, so I'm hoping that you can add that to it, because there wasn't one last year.
Oh, you mean for each question?
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yep. They wanted a comment box because we didn't have that. They
Okay.
liked it how it was on Mr. Enerson's, but I didn't have that on the
Okay.
school board one, so.
And then negotiations committee has met once with the classified staff, so off to a fairly good
Starting
cordial
stages.
start.
Yeah.
And then also, just so the whole board is aware, there's the custodial secretaries bargaining group, the paraprofessionals, and then there's all the district office staff contracts for the most part are up, except for payroll and HR position, that she's got another year left, so that's not to be negotiated yet. And also the principal's contract needs to be renewed, so, and administrative contracts. So we'll be busy. I've kind of been working on getting a date and trying to get a bunch of this aligned in June, and hopefully negotiations committee will be busy, get it all in one night, maybe, so you don't have to come in every day during the month of June. Trying to get it all coordinated, so.
All right. Anyone else have anything? No, probably not? Okay, good. Moving on to 6.3, Mr. Enerson.
Enrollment is the same as last month, so no changes as we wind down the year. It's kind of where we're at, so I believe that we ended up finishing the year, or we will finish the year with an enrollment that was a little bit above what was projected in our budget. So that's always good that we didn't drop below our budgeted expectations. Actually, if you're up 5 more than what we were anticipating, that gives us a little bit more of that cushion, so. But that was good. I also have the tennis courts, ISG, Dunick, and American Fence Company met 2 weeks ago on a Friday to look at what happened with the fence and what would be the appropriate solution to that. And kind of was a variety of things. I think they're all going to work to make that, it's going to get corrected, the fence will be straightened. They're actually going to slide a sleeve inside to reinforce the posts that are there. And they feel that will be sufficient. And the costs will be taken care of, and the district won't be writing out any additional checks or anything for the repair. That'll all get done. There was also one little spot on the surface, not on any of the playing courts, but in an area off, that some of the surface, the acrylic surface, was kind of bubbling up, and that'll be corrected also, and they'll get that sealed up. So otherwise, I feel like they're standing behind their work, and we'll make this right. So unless something changes, but that's what I've been told so far. So, but I think that they'll take care of that. And then also you had superintendent evaluation sheet. I believe there's also an electronic version if you would like that, that's available to you. That should be completed and returned to Wendy by
June 1st.
about June 1st. So if you could get that done, she'll compile everyone's results and then meet with me, and we'll go over that. And then we will have, at our June board meeting, we will close the meeting for the whole board and myself to talk, and if there's things that we're looking at doing or questions, that'd be the time for us to discuss that, and then kind of move on from there. So. I think that's it for my
Yes,
stuff.
mark your calendars. June 1st.
May 29th, just to give myself.
All right.
Good job. All right.
Few days cushion.
Any questions for the superintendent? Any
On
other
the
questions?
tennis court fence, now, is that going to change any warranty to the fence once they do this? Or are they going to extend it, remain the same, being there have been issues with it?
I can check on that and see if there's any warranty issues with the fence with this work. I'll check into that and see.
Anyone else? Any other questions for the superintendent? We're good?
I think they looked at, probably, just on a side note, the design, you know, probably with that fence that we put in and winds and, I mean, 60-mile-an-hour winds in a 18-inch blizzard that started out with a little bit of rain maybe to start, you know, I think lesson learned by an engineer, you may need to do something a little bit different with some of that, so, especially in this area of the state, so. But I think the reinforcing sleeves in all, and that'll go on every post around, so they will do that. I think that should be sufficient enough to not have this issue again.
Good. Any other questions for him? All right, let's move on to number 7, old business, 7.1, activities travel release form. Do I have them, you want to say
Yeah,
anything
I
first?
think it's a part of your package. We have in here, Clay has updated this to Pipestone area schools. Basically, it's giving permission if the parent releases this. I know there was a question of, you know, should it be beyond just grandparents and extended family? I know that's a question that, you know, came up, so that's where this is at, is, I don't think we have anywhere in here that, on this form, that specifically states grandparents, but it does have who they're releasing them to, their name, and this does need to be in by noon the previous day, and it does waive them of liability, so this is kind of where that was at, so
Okay.
I guess it's kind of open for discussion if, how do we want to proceed with this, so.
I thought it looked good.
Yeah, I did too.
Okay.
I
So
feel like
do-
if the parents, you know, trust that person to go home, you know, have their kid go home with, then I think, you know, and if that's who it is, then
And they have to fill it
Then
out,
that's-
so-
yeah.
Mhm.
I like how everything's worded.
And we do talk about it being extreme circumstances. They do need to talk to Mr. Anderson about what that is and why, and I think we're not trying to just open this up to be free for all, because I think ideally, our coaches would love to see the teams be together and, you
Right.
know,
Yeah.
travel to and from games together. But there are family situations, there's reasons, and I think that as long as they're reasonable and explainable, you know, this does give one option for families to, in those circumstances, to get this all cleared up.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the activities travel release form?
So moved. Second.
And that
Thank you,
is-
Mrs. Weiss, and thank you, Mr. Bott.
And that is for next year, so.
Right, yeah, right. Any other discussion? We need to buy us all a soda now. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the activities travel release form signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to number 8, 8.1, first reading of activities handbook.
We have a number of handbooks, but the activities handbook was ready to go. There weren't many changes to it except for the travel release form that'll be included in it now, so I guess that's ready to go. And next month, I believe we're gonna have the middle school, high school, and elementary handbooks and everything ready to go and approved for next month. But athletic handbook is ready to go, so
All right.
the other ones are probably pretty close too, but we thought, well, let's just wait and see what comes out of this legislative session, because sometimes they make changes to rules, and this would have given us time to make any adjustments if needed.
Okay. Thank you. 8.2, approve 2018-19 resolution for membership in the Minnesota State High School League.
This is a yearly membership that we do, and the board just needs to renew its membership with the high school league.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the resolution for the Minnesota State High School League?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Oy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Erdman. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the Minnesota State High School League resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 8.3, school district health insurance.
Usually it happens every couple years where the insurance committee gets together and reviews our insurance rates and for the next upcoming year. And this year we ended up doing it again because our rates went up significantly. And so we did review the where we have been getting our insurances, which is through the co-op. It's a co-op pool with the Southwest Service Co-op. And then we also looked at PEEP, which is the Public Employees Insurance Program, which is a statewide pool. And they organize themselves a little bit differently, and there are some different products that you can purchase. But the teachers, after reviewing the plan, have made the recommendation to go to PEEP. And PEEP's numbers over the years have been, 2 to 4 or 5% increases, very minimal. With the co-op's plan, we've had good years where claims were down and our insurance rates dropped 20%, and then there are other years that they've gone up 25%. And in looking at and comparing the programs, our employees can save a significant amount of dollars through PEEP with different plans. It is a little bit different because they have to pick their provider, which they're not used to. They've been able to just go to wherever they want, but they will have to pick their primary care provider, and from there, if they need referrals on to specialists, they just have to get that, and usually that's not a big deal. It is still a Blue Cross Blue Shield product, so there isn't going to be a lot of issues with their deductibles. They get to carry over, and so we wanted everybody's stuff in by today. As far as I know, Jackie, I think, Tanya, you got everybody's forms and stuff, as far as we know? Pretty close?
She got
She got them all.
She got the ones
Since
who,
that last one.
well,
Okay.
she didn't get the ones who need to fill out that they're waiving it yet. But that's not the one, it's the ones who.
That aren't taking it. So, and I guess I was trying to, the insurance that is, health insurance is provided through the school district. The school district has to enroll, so I feel that the school district, the board, needs to accept PEEP as the health insurance provider for the district. So I would ask for a motion to accept PEEP, and even though we've had to move on with doing all that stuff because it was kind of short timing, but I think it does need to be recognized by the board that we're doing that. So,
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the school district health insurance with that PEIP?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Oy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Pals. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the school district health insurance signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 8.4, the facility task force, and 8.4.1, the purpose and schedule.
okay. The facilities committee met following the last board meeting when we talked about, the facility task force, and kind of put together a plan of action for the community task force. And so this is what has been proposed, that we will have 4 meetings. Well, maybe before I say the meetings, the purpose is to examine data and information regarding our facilities and provide a recommendation to the Board of Education on how to address those identified facility items and how we're going to proceed in the future. So that's what this task force will come together. It is made up of community members. Right now, we have about 20, and so letters have been sent to all of them, and So we feel pretty good about, I think we got a good cross-section of what we saw. And we'll also have a number of school staff that will be a part and serve as a resource to the task force. And so we'll kind of work together through these meetings. If there are more needed, we will most certainly schedule more. My plan is that we will also communicate with the community after each one of these meetings to kind of try to keep everybody updated. So basically, meeting number 1 is going to be June 6th. And we are looking at going through all of the facilities and what the needs are and asking them, what do you want to, what options are you looking for? What do you think should be considered? And then ISG from there will be able to put together some very, basic drawings of the facilities, of what people, what they're wanting to look at, cost, preliminary cost projections, and be able to take care of all of those things. So our goal would be is that we kind of, what do we need? What are we looking at? Let's get all of that stuff out, and then ISG and myself will do the work that needs to be done to prepare the information for the second meeting, which will be July 18th. So it's almost a month and a half between meetings. And then what we'll do at the second meeting is review those things and make refinements, offer more suggestions, maybe make some eliminations of some of the options and further refinements, and then kind of send that back again for the third meeting. And there's only 1 month between the second and third meetings. At the third meeting, we'll again review what they are, what are the changes, if there's any other changes that maybe need to be made, and then kind of reduce it down to 2 options. And at that point, they would also look to develop a community survey. And that community survey would be done by an organization that would survey our community, basically looking at what are these options, which seems agreeable. It'll also begin to have tax impacts and costs, and so where's the community feel that they can, what they would be supportive of, so that this committee will also get that information, which takes you to your 4th meeting, which is the end of September, which is another full month and a half, some 6 weeks in there, to gather some of that information. And then basically at that September 26th meeting, the task force would be looking to, hopefully, unless there's more information or more things that need to be done, but the plan would be is they draft a recommendation to the school board. I did make a note on there that we have tentatively scheduled a special school board meeting on October 1st, where you would consider this task force recommendation and act on it or do whatever you feel needs to be done, and then we would continue with the process after that. So that's kind of the timeline and the scope and what we're looking for the facility task force to do. And so far, I think there's a couple who had a conflict on that June 6th, but it sounds like most of the other nights, and I just said I'd report back and get them all the information that we were looking at and try to keep them as informed as we can. But that is kind of our purpose and schedule of the task force, and looking for the board to approve that process.
Okay, so do I?
This came out of the facility committee as a recommendation from them on how we proceed, so.
Okay.
And I don't know if anybody on the committee has anything to add or that I missed, or,
No, you did
No.
well.
okay, all right.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve the purpose and schedule as presented to us right here?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Obatz. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Weiss. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Any other discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the purpose and schedule of the task force signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 8.4.2, demographic study.
One of the things that came out of our community meetings that we had last February, when people were asking questions about, the facilities and maintenance, there was also a few questions about what's our enrollment pattern, what does it look like, where are we declining, are we going up? And so One of the things you can do is do a demographic study by Hazel Reinhardt. She is the former state demographer, and she will go and do, the proposal is here, and you can see the scope of the work that she does. She's a sociologist or a demographer, and so they know how to go through, analyze Pipestone area school district, community, surrounding areas, and find out what's going on, what are the birth rates, what are all of the housing unit method, or, I mean, she will analyze and give you a 10-year projection of what your enrollment is going to be, so that you can see if you're going to have a significant decline, if you're going to be stable, if your population may be rising. One of the purposes, I think, of that is to make sure that you're not, I mean, if you're going to see that we may have an enrollment explosion in the next 5 years for some reason, you know, you don't want to get through all of this facility stuff and then in 10 years go, oops, need more room. Or, you know, we built all this and, you know, our enrollment is half of what it was. So, I mean, I think that's a wise thing to do, to get that information and see what it says, and that should be a consideration. I think it's another one of those wise things that the community said, take a look at this when we make decisions. So the committee, again, I think said bring this to the board and ask the board for approval of the study. It's about $5,000, and I believe that eventually you can wrap all of that into your whole bond process if you do go forward with anything like that eventually. So can help out our budget that way. So.
Okay, so do I have a motion to accept the facility task force demographic study?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Urban. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Botts. Any other discussion? Any other questions or discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of the facility task force demographic studies signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And 8.4.3, the community survey in August.
I did mention this when we talked about the purpose and schedule of the task force. The community survey is done by a
It's a group out of Wisconsin.
group out of Wisconsin.
School perspectives.
There you go.
Jeez, you got good memory.
He's young.
You paid attention to those meetings, huh? Pretty good.
Good job, Randy.
That was his one job. Lance. You remember the name of it? Anyway, they will do a pretty thorough study. They will do paper, phone calling. They will work until they get a set number of responses from our residents in our school district, and then be able to give you some very good feedback of what are the tax tolerances, cost tolerances, what is it that absolutely no. I think Rod Schumacher from ISG has used them in other school districts, and, you know, one school district wanted to build an auditorium and, you know, performing arts center, and they did the community survey, and it came back pretty overwhelmingly, no, you don't need a community fine arts center. So that gave you information to go, okay, we probably should do that. I think they didn't listen. I mean, there's some lessons to be learned. They didn't listen to what the community said in this survey, and they asked for it anyway, and it just got, you know, annihilated and beat by 90% or something crazy. So, I mean, these are things that help you to gather information and base decisions of what your community can tolerate. So, when we get to that point, again, that survey has to be approved by the school board, so the task force will put together the information, and that'll have to come to the board for your blessing and approval, and then we'll be able to send that out. So you really want the board to be surveying the community, not some task force. So, but they'll give you the recommendation, and we'll move forward with that. So that's what will be coming up on that piece.
Any questions for him on that? Or for Randy? Since he's green manager?
Well, I think Wyndham used them
Yeah.
in their referendum just passed.
66%
I think it was
approval.
66.
Yeah.
Good.
So they had a very good, they went through a very similar process that we're going through, so.
Mm-hmm. Good, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Good. All right, we're gonna move on to 8.5, declare old tennis court fencing obsolete. Say anything?
I think we were hoping that we would maybe find a use for that tennis court fencing, and we maybe could in 5 years, but in the meantime, it sits out back. There's a community that is interested in it. They said they'd pay us scrap iron price plus $1,000. We said, we'll take 10, and they said, we'll give you this. We'll come and get it, so we don't have to haul it around, and they'll handle all of it, and I think just to get it off our property and, you know, we can hold on to it if we want, but I think it's just wise to just say, let's move it.
Randy's heavily recommending to keep it.
So moved.
All right, do I have a motion? Thank you, Mr. Oy. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Erdman. Any other discussion? Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of declaring the old tennis court fencing obsolete signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Thanks, Deb. Motion carries. 8.6, fiscal year 18 budget amendment.
I'm doing a budget amendment, basically to increase the amount of donations we received this year, so I'm increasing the revenue in donations, and then I'm also increasing the expense in athletic equipment, because that's basically for the pole vault out at the track. So this has to be approved, is basically what I've done is I've increased overall revenue in the budget that was approved in June, and I've increased overall expenditures, so that this needs to be approved by the board, or disapproved, or whatever you want to do. Disapproved.
I don't know.
Thank you, Jackie. Do I have a motion to approve the fiscal year budget amendment?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Botts. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Erdman. Any other questions for Jackie? Any other comments? Questions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the budget amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Who said that? Thank you, Katie Weiss, and the second is Mr. Roy. That's what I just called. All right, all those in favor of adjourning signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. We're adjourned.